Now, in an attempt to give people equal time, you're going to have Marco Rubio, who's going to be asked a question, and he's going to not answer the question and turn around and use the question to attack Donald Trump.
6.6 million people discussing it online. A lot of that conversation is happening here in Detroit, where the unemployment rate is 10.9%. That's more than double the national average. Senator Rubio, you have taken to calling Mr. Trump a con artist who portrays himself as a hero to working people, while he's really been, in your words, sticking it to the American workers for 40 years. But he has built a big company that employs thousands of people. Question, how many jobs have you created?
Well, first of all, government does... First of all, Chris, my point is exactly right. He has spent a career convincing Americans that he's something that he's not in exchange for their money. Now he's trying to do the same in exchange for their country. This is a fact. He talks about these great businesses that he's built. He inherited over $100 million.
Wrong.
With that money, he lost more money than
wrong.
Mr. Trump,
he talks about how he wants to create jobs in America. He can start tonight by announcing that all the Donald J. Trump clothing will no longer be made in China and in Mexico, but will be made here in the United States.
Now, that's a good point, and I don't have any problem with that, but he still hasn't answered the question on how many jobs has he created, which is 0.
And on the issue of job creation, I find this interesting. The private sector creates jobs. The jobs of those of us in public service are to put in place policies that allow the economy to grow. That's the problem with the Democratic Party. They think government is what creates jobs. Government does not create jobs. Now, the way you create jobs is you make America the easiest and the best place in the world to...
Now, that's not true, okay? Government does create jobs, but it's the people's need for things to be done that pushes the government to create a job that needs to be filled. Okay, I know that's a little rambling. When people are moving out to rural areas and there are really no roads, no infrastructure, etc. So people buy land and they'll put a house on the land. Okay, you got utility companies, power companies, etc. that have to come out. Okay, again, those are utilities which are quasi government positions. Now, the more people that require those services, the more jobs that are created. When you get to a certain population size, roads have to be made, built, etc. Cables have to be laid, etc. Now, that would, the people moving out, private sector, then depends on the public sector, okay, in order to provide services for the private sector. The public sector starts the demand, but it's the private sector that benefits from that demand. Okay. So yes, it's the private sector that creates the demand, which is evidenced through the public sector in having companies that come out, pave roads, lay telephone poles, do all of that stuff. So yeah, the public sector does create jobs.
To start a business or to expand an existing business. If you go on my website, marcorubio.com, you will see a real plan to fix our taxes, to roll back regulations, to repeal and replace Obamacare, not just lines around the states. Serious policies and proposals.
Sir,
and that's what kills me. Every last one of these guys, is always on President Obama and Obamacare. I honestly wish they would just shut up about it until they come out with an absolute plan that they would use in order to replace it. Then they could say, we're going to repeal Obamacare and do this. But they never do it, And Donald Trump's stupid ass talking about interstate competition for insurance. That's a bunch of bullshit, because all that's going to do is force all the insurance companies, not force, but allow all of the insurance companies that no longer have to be held under state regulations, all to be headquartered in Delaware, which has the least prohibitive insurance policy requirements in the country, and then everybody's going to be in a world of hurt.